Yeah, this is another discussion about my last few videos. Is that I have Pandora playing in the background, and apparently they take they take off your video if you have music in the background because you're copywriting the songs, I guess. Anyway, no big deal. But I go back sometimes and look at my videos to see what I did. You know, I mean, it's nice to go back and see where I started and where I am now, even though it's still got a ways to go. But it's a lot of work, and you start on something, and then you have to stop on that, or wait for a part, or wait for a tool, and then you skip to this, or painting, or sandblasting, or pulling parts off, or looking things up on the internet, and uh, sending parts back, and digging for information. So it's a big task. You watch these TV shows where they reveal cars, and they have like 5 or 6 guys in the shop. They're all seasoned pros, and it looks pretty easy. And plus, these are time lapse. It might have took 6 months to do it with 6 people. But it's fun. It's sometimes it's stressful, sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's aggravating. And I've said in a lot of my videos, the hardest part for me is if if I had taken the car apart as a complete running car, this would have been 20 times, 100 times easier. So I suggest anybody that restores a car, you get one that's running. I mean, the outlay might be, I got this car for 2,000. You might have to spend, 20,000 to get a car that's all together. But in the long run, it's just, it's, it's probably cheaper, and I mean, and less aggravation. But then again, most people don't have $20,000 just to throw out and then tear a car apart, and that's kind of the reason I did it this way. Is I could just pay as I go, even though it's more frustrating and all that. And you do have to learn a bunch of things. You got to learn. In my case, I had to learn welding and which tools for certain things and what kind of things are going to go wrong. And you get advice from people that is wrong, and it's a learning experience, like anything new. And once you get done, then it's 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 pretty simple. So you know, again, I'm not making these videos for a bunch of viewers, but if anybody's struggling through it like I am, they might help. There's a lot of good videos out there on everything. So I'd suggest that if you're working on something, try to find it. If you're working on a sending unit, try to find a video on a sending unit. But again, most of these videos they're replacing a sending unit, so they're taking it out and they're putting it back in, and that makes it easier. You just hook it up to the lines. But in my case, like a sending unit, I mean, it was hooked up at the fuel tank, but the fuel lines at the other end were not hooked up, and the fuel lines are crushed and rusted, and so it's a job. Also, I have this in the background. This is just what I've learned is I don't know what this is. Bluetex. I have no idea what that is. But take pictures of everything. Just buy a cheapo digital camera, and as you take something apart, take a picture of everything. There's so many used cars out there, you know, people that are restoring cars, and they are, let's say a Trans Am, for instance, you'll probably find 1,000 of them that are just sitting there with, they're just parts cars because people take them apart and they can't get them back together. I think the main thing is there's two things: money, and you can't, well, maybe more than two: money, finding the parts, and then how do you get it back together? And the tools. You got to have tools, welders, like I said, sprayers, sandblasters. So, just for example, let's see what I got here. It's Friday morning, the 9th. My rear end and transmission's ready. I'm gonna go pick it up soon. Maybe I'll take the video. Really good guys to work with. Now, just looking at this picture, you see that's the trunk torque rod. That's what holds the trunk open. I don't know if I show it, but you see the way this one twists to the right? Let's see if I have a picture, or if I can. Well, this one was broken off, but it goes right there. I'm not sure that there. Anyway, one side twists to the right, and one side will twist to the left, and you can't use the right one on the left one. So I ordered torque rods. I'm just discussing this from Classic. I'm looking at my catalog, Classic Industries, and they sent me out the left one 3 times, and because they don't know the difference, they don't know because they're just parts people. You know, they don't. You call these people up, and it's not like it used to be where everybody in my day where people could actually help you. They're just salesmen looking at part numbers. Anyway, 3 times I've got three of one side. I've got 3 torque rods that all go on one side. And I sent him a picture twice, and I go, look at this is. And I had an old one. I got off another car, and I said, this is what it's supposed to look like. And I laid it next to the other 3. And they're telling me, well, you don't know what you're talking about. And I go, well, look, here's the picture. So it turns out the guy, he says he went out in his warehouse, and they're all they have is the left side. They don't have, but yet what their book says left and right. That's why they kept sending me the wrong one, because they don't know. And I didn't know until I took it apart. So that's the kind of things you run into. You think if you order a part, they're going to send you the right part. And for instance, if this torque rod wasn't here and there was no torque rods at all, and they sent me out 2 of the same torque rods, I wouldn't know that they were wrong. I would just say, why isn't this going together? What am I doing wrong here? So that goes back to it'd be nice to have a complete car, but these torque rods do break, and in fact, every car that I've went and looked at that people are selling parts, they're broken. So where you get the right one, I don't know. So now I've got 3 of the same torque rods. Anyway, I'm not really complaining. I'm just explaining. You can see here's some holes I had to fix. So you start something, and then you get to another problem. Here's where I cut the trunk out, trunk patch. For me, it was easier. That's a shadow. For me, it's easier to just cut out pieces, not the whole trunk. I'm not that advanced yet. More places that I patched, so I have come a long way. This is a place they seem to rust. This is right under the back seat. I'm not sure how the water gets in here. I think it leaks off the back rear window. Go back to this one. Here's the quarter panel, and here's the trunk rail, I guess you call it. And the quarter panel actually slips right into that slot. Then I had to cut this. I've patched it now because I couldn't get the quarter panel to come tight. It wouldn't physically go to the right. So you just run into these strange little issues. You know, looking back at this, I didn't realize how greasy this car was. You know, as you progress, you forget how bad it was. But now it's all cleaned up and painted, and I'm starting to put that together. So let me just look at one more. So, for instance, it says front end suspension. So you think you're going to remember how it goes back together. You know, we all think that. Oh, this is the AC unit. And in I think the last video I showed, there's an AC delete. So you're getting rid of all this. It'll give a heck of a lot more room to work on your car, work on your engine. So there's shims here. Make sure you mark all your shims, and you see it's all rusted, and these are all these joints are all worn out, and boy, this thing is from the 70s. That's where we used to flush out our radiators. I don't know if they still sell those. But yeah, you just take a picture of everything. You might not need it, but if you do, and you don't have it, and you're already, I mean, these are parts that are on the car. They're invaluable pictures. Here's a guy helping me. He's a veteran that helped me remodel the house. Every once in a while I call him up. He's a good guy. Even tempered, stays cool. Just take pictures of everything. You can't have too many pictures. Like this, for instance. I mean, what good is this? Well, I don't know until I forget. I don't want to put it back together. I mean, there's so many things here. There's the sway bar. There's the idler arm. There's the power steering unit. There's wiring. There's don't know what that is. Must be the fuel line. I'm not sure. I didn't disconnect it. Shocks. Looking at it, thinking about one video I talk about one of them comes with a rubber isolator. There's the bottom of the spring. The isolator just popped out, so I didn't know where it went. You know, I don't know what these are. What are these? I don't know. Anyway, take pictures. Don't get you're gonna get discouraged. Don't give up. You know, you don't have to get this done overnight. Just keep working at it. And in the end, if you can make the car however you want it. You could change. The possibilities are endless. And I mean, you go and buy a new car. If you bought a car like I'm building,